Okay, I'm back from Edwardsville. My mom had a dental appointment that I had to accompany her to. Kind of emergency, spur of the moment. One of her things felt too cramped. I don't know what they call them. I don't have that kind of tooth work, dental work done. One of those things where her crown fell out or something, and they had to put it back in place or something like that. Anyway, so I had to go there with her for that, and I'm back now. And I'm ready to resume reading in Psalm 3. The Psalm of David, when he fled from his son, Absalom. As I was saying when I stopped the previous video, several of the Psalms that have David's name attached to them also have information attached to them that describe specific encounters in his life that the Psalm apparently was composed in or was inspired by. Now, most likely, David, and there are other songs later on attributed to other writers. Most likely, David didn't write these psalms in the heat of the moment. In the heat of the moment. I mean, some of these would have been life or death situations where he wouldn't have had the time or the mental energy and composure necessary to write a song. So most likely, if he would have, if these are in fact written by him concerning these episodes of his life, he would have written them sometime later, drawing from the emotions that he was feeling during those intense circumstances. Most of the Psalms like this have information recorded in the books of Samuel and Kings that we can go to. I'm not going to go back and read this account of David's dealings with his son Absalom, but now there is one song that does refer to something in David's life that is vague and has no clear account of it in the books of Samuel and Kings, but most of them do. So you can look at that information, those chapters in the narrative books that describe the events that are setting the stage for these kinds of songs. However, the Psalms themselves that fit this category, even when they're given conditions, specific conditions that inspired the composition of these Psalms, the Psalms themselves have very generic content, very general content. They could be applied to other situations beyond just the specific circumstance that apparently led to the composition of these Psalms. So like the content here in Psalm 3 is not irrelevant simply because it relates to a specific episode in David's life from about 3,000 years ago. This material can still be used and sung and applied meaningfully to our situations today if we find ourselves in similar predicaments, similar circumstances. Okay, moving on. Psalm 3. A Psalm of David when he fled from his son Absalom. O Lord, how many are my foes? How many rise up against me? Many are saying of me, God will not deliver him. Selah. Now this is one of those musical notes, the first of several we're going to see in the book of Psalms. You're going to see a lot of these in the book of Psalms, that these weird looking words that have footnotes attached to them. In this case, the footnote says, a word of uncertain meaning occurring frequently in the Psalms, possibly a musical term. We don't know what Selah meant. I don't know what Selah meant, so I'm not going to try to hazard a guess. Just know that there are several such words, and that's not the only one. It might be the most well-known one, and maybe the most common one, but there are other terms like that in the book of Psalms that are obscure ancient Hebrew words, that the meaning of which we don't really know. They probably are musical terms or musical notations of some kind that connoted some sort of information to the original audience, or that meaning has long since been lost, so who knows. David would have, but he's not on for us to ask anymore, I guess. Many are saying of me, God will not deliver him, Selah. But you are a shield around me, O Lord. You bestow glory on me and lift up my head. To the Lord I cry aloud, and he answers me from his holy hill. Selah. I lie down and sleep. I wake again because the Lord sustains me. So even in the midst of all this trouble and turmoil, he can sleep soundly and securely because he knows the Lord sustains him. I will not fear the tens of thousands drawn up against me on every side. Arise, O Lord. Deliver me, O my God. Strike all my enemies on the jaw. Break the teeth of the wicked. Break this. Now, in teeth in this context relates to their chewing power, their biting power. It's I have a cat right here, down here. Okay, in their culture, they had wild animals all around them, lions, and so the imagery of teeth refers to the enemy's power to bite and to crush down with their teeth. And we're going to see a lot more explicit imagery about enemies being compared to lions or predators. So it's referring really, so when it talks about breaking their teeth, it doesn't necessarily mean literally break their teeth. It means they break their power. Break the source of their power. The source of a lion's power is in its teeth. My cat right here, if she were to actually try to attack something, she would grab it with her claws, but she doesn't kill it with her claws. She holds it with her claws. She would kill it with her teeth. She would kill it with her jaws. If she were trying to actually eat something that she had caught and killed, she would do it. The killing blow would come from her teeth, not from her claws. So that's what it's referring to. It's saying break their power, take away their killing power. From the Lord comes deliverance. May your blessing be on your people. Selah. Psalm 4. Hey, cat. For the director of music, or the choir director, I don't know what that means. We're going to see that notation on quite a few of the songs. Cat, I don't want you to knock my camera off with your tail. There we go. I guess it was a specific, we have worship leaders in our congregations today, so I'm guessing the director of music or the choir director was basically their version of a worship leader. And for some reason, some of these songs have notations that are addressed specifically to the choir director. I don't know what's different about them that requires that specific notation to be added. Maybe it was something the choir director sang alone while the choir sang something else in the background, or hummed or chanted. I'm not sure. Anyway, for the director of music, or the choir director, with stringed instruments, a psalm of David. Answer me when I call to you, O my righteous God. Give me relief from my distress. Be merciful to me and hear my prayer. How long, O men, will you turn my glory into shame? Now he's talking to men around him, not God, men around him. How long will you love delusions and seek false gods? Selah. You could ask that today. How long are you going to love believing the lie? All the lies we tell ourselves, all the lies we want to believe, despite knowing, in many cases, knowing, sometimes we may legitimately be fooled or deceived. But there's a lot of times when we believe the lie because we want to believe the lie. COVID has given us a great example of that in full force in the last 3 years. A lot of people believe the lies because they want to believe the lies. How long will you love delusions and seek false gods? Selah. Know that the Lord, Yahweh, Jehovah God, has set apart the godly for himself. The Lord will hear when I call to him. In your anger, so he's still talking to the men around him. In your anger, do not sin. When you are on your beds, search your hearts and be silent. So he's actually trying to advise. Normally they don't do this. In the Psalms, you don't see this approach taken very often, where the psalmist is trying to reason with his enemies. He's basically telling them here, like, how long are you going to live like this? How long are you going to refuse to believe the truth? Don't go to bed. The New Testament will repeat this message. In your anger, do not sin. Don't go to bed angry. It's like, calm down, get a straight mind, stop acting this way. Normally in the Psalms, the psalmist doesn't do that. The psalmist does not normally try to reason with his enemies and convince them to stop being so hostile. In this case, he is. Offer right sacrifices. So In your anger do not sin. When you are on your beds, search your hearts and be silent. Selah. Offer right sacrifices and trust in the Lord. Many are asking, who can show us any good? Let the light of your face shine upon us, O Lord. You have filled my heart with greater joy than when the grain and the new wine abound. I will lie down and sleep in peace. For you alone, O Lord, make me dwell in safety. Psalm 5, for the director of music. For flutes, a psalm of David, or a Davidic psalm. Give ear to my words, O Lord. Consider my sighing. Groaning, moaning. Consider my sighing. Listen to my cry for help, my King and my God. For to you I pray. In the morning, O Lord, you hear my voice. In the morning I lay my requests before you and wait in expectation. You are not a God who takes pleasure in evil. With you the wicked cannot dwell. The arrogant cannot stand in your presence. You hate all who do wrong. You destroy those who tell lies. Bloodthirsty and deceitful men, the Lord of forces. The same people that we just got done basically telling to stop acting this way in Psalm 4 are being condemned here in Psalm 5. To some degree, the songs build on each other. I talked before about how they're individual units, but they make a whole, and they're arranged carefully to make up a whole. That's one of the things you can see. It's more artfully and linguistically arranged than that, but sometimes you can tell just by the content that these songs were meant to go together. Even if they're individual units and may have been composed at different times, they were ultimately arranged in the book in this fashion for a very specific reason, very purposeful, thoughtful reasoning. It was not haphazard. These songs were not just randomly scattered into the book and assigned numbers at random. They were arranged this way very carefully, very thoughtfully. But I, by your great mercy, will come into your house. That's a dwelling place of God. In David's day, that would have been the tabernacle. In Solomon's day and afterwards, would have been the temple. Okay? Today, we are God's house. Today, we are the dwelling place of God. That is not how David would have thought of it, or any of the Old Testament people after him. But I, by your great mercy, will come into your house. In reverence will I bow down towards your holy temple. Lead me, O Lord, in your righteousness, because of my enemies. Make straight your way before me. Not a word from their mouths can be trusted. Their hearts are filled with destruction. Their throat is an open grave. With their tongue they speak deceit, meaning what comes out of them are lies that lead to death. That's what that means. Declare them guilty, O God. Let their intrigues be their downfall. Banish them for their many sins, for they have rebelled against you. This is what we call the imprecation psalms, or the imprecatory nature of the psalms. An imprecation basically means a curse. And you see this in ancient literature of various kinds. In fact, it was very prominent in other kinds of ancient literature. They would even, not in Israel necessarily, but in other cultures around them, they would even have religious ceremonies where the priests and the kings and the pharaohs and whatever would go through rituals to bring down curses upon their enemies. That's what we call the imprecation rites, or the imprecation rituals. In this case, it's the imprecation, or imprecatory psalms. Imprecatory is the adjective form of imprecation, which is a noun. That's a fancy word. It basically means a curse. Now, in this case, the thing about the Psalms, when you get to this material in the Psalms, is that it's not so much that he's calling curses down these people. Okay? It's more in the sense that he is requesting God to deal with them. So think of it less in terms of him even back with the whole break the teeth thing a couple Psalms ago. It's less about the psalmist wanting revenge on his enemies, or wanting his enemies to suffer or be cursed. and more about him wanting God to do something. God is the judge, he is the righteous one, he is in control, he is the king, and the psalmist is beseeching him to act on the psalmist's behalf in his favor against those who are against him, and against God. So it's a formal request for God to do something, for God to take action against those who are opposed to him. That's what these are. So they're not really curses. You know, these psalms are often called imprecatory psalms, which is a category of ancient literature in which worshipers beseech their gods to call down curses on their enemies. That's not really what this is. This is more about the psalmist wanting God to take up his role as judge and condemn those who are guilty and act on it. So declare them guilty, O God. Let their intrigues be their downfall. Banish them for their many sins, for they have rebelled against you. But let all who take refuge in you be glad. Let them ever sing for joy. Spread your protection over them, that those who love your name may rejoice in you. For surely, O Lord, you bless the righteous. You surround them with your favor as with a shield. In those days, they would have had dedicated members of the army who would have carried the shields around for the sake of defending the archers who would have been behind them. And these were big shields. Like these were, human-sized shields. And the goal was to protect your archers from getting shot as they were trying to shoot the enemies. Psalm 6. For the director of music, with stringed instruments, according to Shemameth, another ambiguous musical term from ancient Hebrew that we don't know the meaning of. A psalm of David. O Lord, do not rebuke me in your anger, or discipline me in your wrath. Be merciful to me, O Lord, for I am faint. O Lord, heal me, for my bones are in agony. My soul is in anguish. How long, O Lord, how long? Turn, O Lord, and deliver me. Save me because of your unfailing love. No one remembers you when he is dead. Who praises you from the grave? I am worn out from groaning. So he doesn't want to die. Basically, he's asking not to die. He is asking God to deliver him from apparently a pretty serious situation that he, the psalmist, seems to believe, has a good chance of ending in his death if God doesn't do something. I am worn out from groaning. All night long I flood my bed with weeping and drench my couch with tears. So he has problems. He's got something going on. My eyes grow weak with sorrow. They fail because of all my foes. Excuse me. Away from me, all you who do evil, for the Lord has heard my weeping. The Lord has heard my cry for mercy. The Lord accepts my prayer. All my enemies will be ashamed and destroyed. They will turn back in sudden disgrace. Psalm 7. A Shiggaion of David. There's another one of those weird, ambiguous ancient Hebrew terms, the meaning of which we do not know. Which he's saying to the Lord concerning Cush, a Benjamite. This is the psalm I was talking about earlier when I said we don't really know exactly what this refers to in David's life. He had trouble with the tribe of Benjamin. Saul was the tribe of Benjamin, and he had to deal with Saul and his followers, and even some holders on to the Saul dynasty long after he was gone. Saul was gone. So he had trouble with the Benjamites. There's that guy named, I think, Shimei, who cursed him as he was leaving. I don't know who Cush is. We don't know of an encounter in the narrative books about a Benjamite named Cush. But he would have been someone that would have caused David trouble, because David had trouble with the tribe of Benjamin during his life and reign as king. O Lord my God, I take refuge in you. Save and deliver me from all who pursue me. So this Cush of Benjamite was pursuing him. Or they will tear me like a lion. and rip me to pieces with no one to rescue me. There's that idea of using the teeth and claws to rip to pieces. That's what, so in the previous Psalm, Psalm 3, when he's talking about breaking the teeth of the wicked, he's really using that imagery of like the teeth of a lion, like break the killing power of the wicked over me. O Lord my God, if I have done this, and there is guilt on my hands, if I have done evil to him who is at peace with me, or without cause have robbed my foe, then let my enemy pursue and overtake me. Let him trample my life to the ground, and make me sleep in the dust. Selah. In other words, let me die. So apparently this Cush the Benjamite was accusing David of something that David didn't think he had done. And David was protesting his innocence, both to God and to, I guess, the people. And he is saying here that if I have done what I'm being accused of doing, whatever that may have been, let me be punished for it. Let me take the punishment that comes my way if I have done what I am being accused of doing. But I'm pretty sure he thinks he's innocent. I think he's pretty certain that he did not do whatever he's being accused of doing. Again, we don't actually have an episode for this in the narrative books about David, so we don't know exactly what he's talking about here. Arise, O Lord, in your anger. Rise up against the rage of my enemies. Awake, my God. Decree justice. Let the assembled peoples gather around you. Rule over them from on high. Let the Lord judge the peoples. Judge me, O Lord, according to my righteousness, according to my integrity, O Most High. Now, of course, David can't stand in his own righteousness in front of God. None of us can. But in this context, what he's saying is that if I'm guilty of what I'm being accused of, let me be judged for it. If not, then judge me according to me not being guilty of this crime. I'm innocent of whatever crime I'm being accused of by this Cush guy. O righteous God, who searches minds and hearts, bring to an end the violence of the wicked, and make the righteous secure. My shield is God Most High, who saves the upright in heart. God is a righteous judge, a God who expresses his wrath every day. If he does not relent, he will sharpen his sword, he will bend and string his bow. He has prepared his deadly weapons, he makes ready his flaming arrows. So God is ready to act and destroy. He's ready to fight against those who fight against him. He who is pregnant with evil and conceives trouble gives birth to disillusionment. I'm assuming he's referring to this Cush guy here, or anybody who fits this criteria. He who digs a hole and scoops it out falls into the pit he has made. That means you're digging a trap for somebody. You're trying to get someone to fall into this hole, and you end up falling into it yourself. The trouble he causes recoils on himself. His violence comes down on his own head. I will give thanks to the Lord because of his righteousness, and will sing praise to the name of the Lord Most High. I think that's a good place to stop right there for the day. Psalms 3 through 7. The next one is Psalm 8, and it's a creation song. One of the great songs about praising God for his mighty acts of creation. So we'll get to that next time.